Of course, when they announced yesterday Dr. Mehta's statement in Tuscaloosa, it was a shock to the community. And of course, he says that Alabama cannot afford Birmingham and Mobile and Huntsville and Tuscaloosa, consequently cutting off Huntsville and Tuscaloosa. I don't think that's a matter for Dr. Mehta to decide whether Alabama can afford it. I think that would be a matter for the Finance and Taxation and Ways and Means Committee, along with Governor Wallace. Governor Wallace has pledged to support the two-year clinical division of the medical school in Tuscaloosa, and he's pledged this over and over, and I believe that along with the governor and the help of the legislature, we will bring the two-year medical school to Tuscaloosa.
We do know that nationwide that the community medicine, graduating more doctors in the communities, is much better than having one big factory. So we feel that eventually we will work this thing out, and I don't think this is a dead issue at all, because we're going to work on it. We're going to get everything possible we can to get the last 2 years of the clinical medicine in Tuscaloosa.
I talked to the governor immediately upon learning about this morning, and he had no knowledge of it whatsoever. He was with Dr. Volker yesterday, and Dr. Volker never mentioned this. Now, quoting the papers this morning, incidentally, I understand that some of the doctors from Birmingham have stated that this statement isn't true, but they carry a quote from Dr. Mehta which stated that we don't have the funds to fund any more medical complex in the state of Alabama. So we, all of us in Tuscaloosa, are upset about this. In 1 week's time, without having talked to Dr. Mehta as yet. I'll assure you, I'll talk to him before the day's over. But a week ago, he stated that he was for it. Now he says that he's not going to approve the program. Well, the legislature is the one that makes the appropriation. And if the quotation in the paper of what Dr. Mehta said is true, then he's got a surprise coming, because we've got enough support, I believe, in this legislature and from the doctors throughout the state to get our two-year complex in Tuscaloosa, Alabama.
I hope that all Alabamians who are watching this telecast tonight will write President Nixon and ask for a full pardon for Lieutenant Calley. I'm also asking the Selective Service Director of this state to investigate the possibility of whether or not we can, under the law, suspend the draft in this state until Lieutenant Calley is pardoned by the President of the United States. And I say that if I were President, I would pardon Lieutenant Calley tonight. because in my judgment, rates are too high already in this state insofar as utilities are concerned, and I feel that it is the obligation of this legislature to protect the public against special interest, and this is special interest in that they are asking a $20 million increase by one utility at the present time, and others are to follow. I would also ask you to change the law basing the rate of utilities on the original cost instead of the replacement cost. And I might say that today one of the witnesses for the power company testified, an expert witness, on cross-examination, that the power company earnings are higher in states such as Alabama that uses our system than in the original cost rate-based states. So in my judgment, this can be changed to give the people of Alabama more security against rate increases that are not deserved by the utilities of this state. I would say, bill, there are certain other funds in this state that must have money appropriated from the general fund in order to finish the balance of the year. The Medicaid program, among others. I ask you to consider that legislation that will be introduced, because in order for those agencies to continue to operate and to provide these compassionate services for our people, then we must make these supplemental appropriations from the state's general fund. Many of our public schools in Alabama have become battlegrounds, with parents fearful of sending their child to school in the morning and worrying all day about their safety. Something must be done for the children who have become victims of physical and other abuses in our public school system, and I will have introduced a bill which, in my opinion, no court, even in the wildest exercise of judicial authority, could hold invalid, that will provide that a school child who has been assaulted and unlawfully intimidated in a public school by another pupil may, upon proper application and proof, transfer to a school of that pupil's choice. And I hope you'll enact this.
Concerted effort to get new industry, supporting of our hometown industry, projecting future plans for our cities with your interstate highways coming through, your waterway system that Montgomery is going to increase in population, and we're going to have to sit down and make some plans for all these problems that we will be facing. I'm talking about projecting years ahead. You can't just plan for the day. Some of these problems, like the Southern Bypass, they patch up the situation out there, and it's only a temporary solution. And I'm working for a permanent solution to these problems, not just temporarily, not just for the day. I think we got to project for tomorrow.
Today you're making it official that you are running for police commissioner of this city. Are you doing it because you have a grudge against the current man, or are you doing it because you think you can do a better job than he's doing?
I don't have any grudge against anybody. I'm going to run a clean campaign and run on my own merits. I feel like that I'm qualified and Montgomery needs me at this time.
Now, if you were to win this election and become public affairs commissioner, what do you think would be the most important thing that you would face?
Well, I think one of the most important issues now is your traffic congestion, particularly on your bypass and other areas. We've got to work out a solution to these problems. We need a sensible solution to the emergency room service. Nobody now knows where to take their people if they got an emergency situation. They don't know what hospital to take them to. I think it needs to be a lot of work done in this area. I'm going to concentrate on bringing new industry into Montgomery. I think we need to concentrate on supporting our hometown industry, and this would bring in more revenue. And of course the city right now, I think economically is in bad shape, and I don't propose any new taxes. I think by increased industry and in supporting our hometown industries that we can, Montgomery can make progress.
Dr. Reeves, could you, in layman's language, explain to me what happens or what is a common heart attack?
The common heart attack is a word that really has not been considered as a medical term until very recently. And usually it's taken to mean what doctors refer to as an acute myocardial infarction, resulting from an occlusion of a coronary artery. Now, the coronary arteries are the arteries that lie on the surface of the heart. You know, the heart's a muscular pump about the size of our hand, and the coronary arteries lie across the surface of it and actually nourish that muscle. They bring the coronary arteries supply the heart muscle with blood, and as a complication of atherosclerosis, or hardening of the arteries, the inside diameter of those arteries gets narrowed and may become completely occluded. Each year in this country, in 1970, the projections from the National Heart Institute, the National Institutes of Health, is that there will be more than 1 million people in this country suffer an acute myocardial infarction or a heart attack this year. Of those, approximately 500,000 will die. Half of the deaths occur before people get to the hospital, and that's a source of great concern to us right now also as to how to decrease the time required for a person experiencing a heart attack to get to the hospital. The average time delay is about 6.5 hours from the time the man begins to have pain in his chest before he actually gets to the hospital. There are all kinds of reasons for that delay, but it does occur.
Advise them to see what kind they are. He is here. He is in complete agreement. Great news conference. Thank you for being here, and see you later. And because they are arrogant, and because they are mean individuals, and they are criminally inclined to the nth degree, you might fear sometimes to join in this movement. But if you would write a confidential letter to the Department of Public Safety, and if you forget the Department of Public Safety's colonel, Colonel Allen, just write it to the State Police or the Department of Public Safety and give us information that you know that they should possess, and you do not even have to sign your name unless you want to. And if you do sign your name, of course, it will be held in the strictest of confidence. Now, the governor of Alabama is charged with the execution of the laws of this state, and that we shall do. I do know that we're going to institute an investigative program that will be investigation, arrest, and prosecution. We are going to have a hard program that will be consistent and continued, and you can call it a hard, consistent, continued crackdown throughout the length and breadth of this state.
As most of you know, we have a very competent, not quite as large as we'd like to have, investigative division. These men, in the course of their daily investigations, are coming into contact more and more every day with the users and the pushers of the hard narcotics, as well as the potheads and the acid droppers. And if you want a real shock, if you want something that will cause you to throw down what you're doing and run down to the nearest recruiting office and enlist in this war on dope and drugs, just get you a youngster of 19 years old, as I recently did, who has taken so much LSD that he is getting bad trip flashbacks an average of twice a week. Imagine it, 19 years old, and he is ruined forever. A boy who had an IQ, I might say, of 128 at one time. I don't know what it would be now. We intend to go after these people relentlessly and without any let-up whatever.
They refuse to register 18-year-olds in federal elections, and we're going to file some suits ourselves. I don't believe in abdicating the responsibility of the federal government, and these 18-year-olds are Alabama citizens, and we're going to file suits in their behalf if it keeps on where they're not registering, because it's no arbitrary matter. It's nothing that anybody can do about it. It's over, and they're entitled to vote, and there's no use to keep delaying it.
Could you give us a rough estimate of how many complaints you've received in any particular county?
We've received them from, I believe it's 3 different counties, possibly 4. There may be others. I'd rather not say which counties. They are being contacted, and they know which ones they are, and if it continues, there'll be some suits filed.